You know, when people think nonprofit, they might think the biggies, right? The United Way, the American Red Cross.
Sure.
But there are so many service nonprofits in New Hampshire that are filling very specific needs that, you know, you might have the food insecurity, that's Meals on Wheels. But there are also a number of things like navigating the legal system when you need help with something, and that can be extraordinarily challenging even when you have resources.
And intimidating.
Right? And imagine when you don't have resources. And I think that's a good segue into a conversation that we have with our next guests that are going to be coming to us online. We'd love to invite now to the screen Sarah Mattson Dustin, the Executive Director of New Hampshire Legal Assistance, along with Sonya Bellafant, Executive Director of 603 Legal Aid. Hi, ladies.
Hi, guys.
As we welcome you into the broadcast, and thank you both so much for what you do and for a few minutes of your time, I want to talk about this and set this up so that you can tell us more. 603 Legal Aid and New Hampshire Legal Assistance are New Hampshire's civil legal aid providers. They fundraise together through the Campaign for Legal Services, which is what we want you to give in New Hampshire Gives, the Campaign for Legal Services. Tell us a little bit, maybe each of you, and Sarah, I'll come to you first, and Sonya, you as well, for 603 Legal Aid. Could each of you talk a little bit about the services that you provide and the needs that you are filling in the New Hampshire community?
Sure. Thank you so much for having us. We're happy to be here. So here at New Hampshire Legal Assistance, we are a nonprofit law firm, and we work with clients who have low income or are older adults, age 60 and up, on civil legal issues that impact their basic needs. So that means helping people preserve their housing if they're facing eviction or foreclosure. We help survivors of domestic violence get access to protective orders and other family law relief. We work with people who are trying to get access to public benefits for which they're eligible. And we do it all, from giving people basic legal information to representing people in all of New Hampshire state and federal courts. So that's what we're doing, and we do it with our number one partner, 603 Legal Aid.
Sonya, tell us a little bit about yours.
I'd love to. So much like Sarah at New Hampshire Legal Assistance, 603 Legal Aid is a nonprofit that also provides civil legal aid for those who are low income and vulnerable. We start with centralized intake statewide so that we can at least give people advice that they may not otherwise be privy to. And so that helps a lot of the times expand the resources across the state, empowering and educate. We also have a really robust pro bono department. So although the New Hampshire Legal Assistance is quite large in the state of New Hampshire, the demand is by far outpaced by the number of attorneys available. So with the private bar, we're able to partner with them to provide assistance for those who otherwise wouldn't have access to a civil legal aid attorney in much of the same areas that Sarah just referenced.
So Sonya, I'll ask you, and then I'd like an answer from Sarah too, because when you're providing people with the access to justice and legal assistance at a time in life when seriously they need it, they're experiencing serious issues. Talk about the satisfaction that I have to believe you feel when you give them and point them in the right direction and give them the help that they didn't think they could get, but they are able to do so through your organizations. You must see some pretty inspiring stories of people who get the help they need. That's got to feel good.
I couldn't agree more. One of the reasons why I really love what I do and appreciate the honor of being part of the legal community here in New Hampshire is because of the reward we see when clients reach out to us and ask for assistance and realize that there are laws or protections that allow them to keep their housing or that allow them to continue to put food on their table because they have access to public benefits. Or equally important, they're able to preserve their safety for themselves and their children from a domestic violence situation. In cases where it's a senior, there's a number of resources that we have that help them as they age in place so they can have a great quality of life. Those stories, talking to those clients and realizing the impact we have individually inspire not only me, I'm sure, but Sarah and both of our staffs every single day.
Sarah, same for you?
Absolutely. The civil legal system is really complex. Many of the laws that our clients are interacting with are just mazes of places to where a misstep can cost you something really important, like the place that you live, or protection from an abuser. So I think really love being able to be an agency that can help make the legal system accessible to everyone. We think of that as being access to justice, and whether or not you're able to access that justice should not depend on whether you can afford to pay a lawyer or not. So we wish that we had many dozens more lawyers, and that's why New Hampshire Gives is so terrific for us, because it helps us get legal help into the hands of people who need it. But you're absolutely right. It's incredibly rewarding work that we feel that we're greatly privileged to be able to do.
I couldn't agree more.
Not to gloom and doom this conversation at all, but because you are there and you're doing this work on behalf of people every single day. And thanks to both of you for your organization's efforts. But I can't even imagine what navigating the system would be like without your two organizations. What would people face if they didn't have the kind of help that you're providing?
That's a really good question. And to be honest, the consequences are numerous. Oftentimes, one of the biggest deterrents to establishing basic necessities is knowledge, or having someone who can give you the advocacy because you don't have the confidence to do it yourself. So that could be anything from impacting the education your children are privy to because of where your house was located or housing was located. It could impact your ability to retain your housing voucher. And so you may not be able to get to your employment. So that impacts everything that has to do with your finances in the home. It could have something to do with, it could even impact the education your child needs if they have special education needs, and having someone advocate on that realm. There are so many areas that having a barrier to accessing justice present that we would probably spend more time than we have here to document them, to note them here. The list is endless.
Yeah.
And huge right now, as I expect you're probably hearing from other guests, is the affordable housing shortage in New Hampshire is just acute and seems to be getting worse with every day. And a lot of what we do at NHLA and 603 Legal Aid is keep people in their housing. And right now, we are in a housing market in which our clients who have low income, perhaps have impaired credit, are going to have a really difficult time getting to the top of the list to get their next apartment. So losing an apartment may mean not a move, but may mean a slide into homelessness that could be chronic in this housing environment. So we want to make sure that people aren't evicted unless the law says that they ought to be. We don't want people to not contest an eviction when they have a right to do so. And so we try really hard to, even if we're not able to represent someone, to get information into their hands so they're able to advocate for themselves.
You're the light in the dark. Really, at a time when people, no, it's really true. That's what I'm thinking, because at a time when they really need it, where they think they don't have a place to turn, whether it's homelessness or maybe escaping the cycle of domestic violence, one of the things you mentioned that is impacted is personal safety. To know that there are a legal place where they can go and get access to legal advice and legal assistance to help break those kind of cycles. It can be a matter of, and I don't think I'm exaggerating it when I say it could be a matter of life and death. And being there is that light in the tunnel. So that is part of the work you do, and I don't think anybody could thank you enough for that. So thank you on behalf of everybody that you work with that benefits from it, because it's an amazing and much needed resource, and it's nice to have you be a part of the New Hampshire Gives Day today.
Yeah.
So.
And before we let you go, Sarah and Sonya, we need to just sort of repeat that 603 Legal Aid and New Hampshire Legal Assistance are fundraising together tonight with New Hampshire Gives through the Campaign for Legal Services. That's the one you want to look for to help give to this particular group. And before we let you go, obviously the funds will help cover the expenses of all these operations, which I'm sure can be very expensive.
Right.
But are you also trying to recruit more attorneys? We all know lawyers in our lives, and do you need more?
That's a yes. I could tell.
Always. We are always actively recruiting for pro bono attorneys. The more attorneys we have, the more likely we are to expand our ability to stretch these resources, which are limited. The demand is by far outpaces our resources. But with private attorneys, we can continue to reach those individuals who otherwise might not have access to an attorney.
And we can teach you how to do it. If you don't know how to represent a domestic violence survivor or
great.
defend an eviction, we will make sure you know how to do it.
We'll even provide the malpractice insurance. We'll make sure that you have all the resources you need.
Look how they lit up
I
with this.
told you the answer was yes. I knew the answer was yes.
They were chomping at the bit for that
So
question.
let's say that there are maybe there are some attorneys watching or family members of attorneys who want to suggest, hey, here's something you might want to check out. Where can they see you and get information?
You can find me anywhere, but let me easily make it even easier. It's 603-584-4141. If you'd like to volunteer at 603 Legal Aid, please call me directly. If that's not ideal, please reach out to me at the email or on our website at 603legalaid.org.
Okay, great.
And Sarah?
So we actually want everyone to go to 603legalaid.org. So if you're looking for legal help, you can apply right on the website, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And 603 Legal Aid does a great job of getting clients who need help through to us at New Hampshire Legal Assistance. So that's your one-stop shop.
Ladies, thank you so much. Sarah Mattson Dustin, the Executive Director of New Hampshire Legal Assistance, and Sonya Bellafant, Executive Director of 603 Legal Aid. And that number again was 603-584-4141.
Thank you for what you do, ladies. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you
Nice.
both. Thank you. And again, another one of those programs that people don't necessarily think about.
I know.
But imagine the impact or the loss if those programs weren't available to people who are struggling. They're at their wits' end. They're now in the legal system in some way, shape, or form and have no idea how to navigate it. Those two groups are a lifeline.
Well, they talked about the housing crunch, and if you know anybody that's been looking for an apartment or a house, how incredibly hard it is. Imagine struggling to make ends meet and not having a place to go, and the threat of being evicted. You know, the legal community, there are laws that have to be followed, and sometimes they're not. People try to get away with not doing it, and they're there to ensure that the laws are followed to prevent that slide into homelessness. And you know, they also, like I said, deal with domestic abuse. It really can be a matter of life and death. That's not a stretch.
No.
That's not a stretch to get there. So if you are